Hey, welcome to your Gemini horoscopes for the week of March 25th through, I'm sorry, February 25th through the 2nd of March. We're going to start off with an apology for last week's horoscopes. The whole week was just a madhouse. Clearly, there would not be horoscopes for a week if there wasn't a very good reason for it. And trust me when I say there was a lot of very good reasons for it. So I apologize for that. Hopefully, we can avoid that in the future. No planets in Gemini this week. Focus really is on self and not just the surface of self, but really going down deep into that emotional muck that we have a tendency to walk around with all the time. It's all the stuff that we just have a really hard time letting go of. And Vespa's influence really is bringing up triggers around security. A, a lot of the time, and a lot of the clients that I have worked with and the people that I have had the pleasure of being able to do business with and to know in my lifetime, security triggers really are the biggest ones. We have a lot of triggers around adoption, for example. That's an abandonment. It creates an abandonment issue, which creates a security issue because obviously, clearly, the person who gave birth to you didn't want to keep you. Not saying that that's true, but that's how it feels. It makes you insecure forever. And so consequently, there's a million different things that come up in our lives that create these insecurities, whether it is from our parents and our family, whether it was from growing up, other kids, other adults in our lives, in our younger adult years. Those are technically considered inner child years as well. Any part of your life where you are living and growing, you can create insecurities. And those insecurities get triggered around specific situations that you're dealing with this week. So I feel like one of the things that's really important for you guys to understand is the typical Gemini way of dealing with insecurities, which is to avoid the problem. When something makes you insecure, don't do it, right? It's a typical air sign thing, I think. It's not just Gemini, okay? It's not just you guys. I feel that Aquarius and Libra do this a lot too, and some of the other signs as well. We avoid anything that makes us insecure. And sometimes we can't avoid it. It's like paperwork or paying your taxes. The IRS will get you eventually if you try to avoid them, whether there's an insecurity there or not. So this week, what's really important is to figure out how to work through that insecurity trigger because it will continue to hold you back over and over and over again until it literally makes you crazy and it just gets you in trouble. And we want to be successful in life. So I am going to do a video on how to work through triggers, but this is a really quick run through just for you guys. When you feel you're being triggered and you know you're being triggered because it creates an emotional fear response. That emotional fear response turns into anger, turns into sadness, turns into emotional meltdown, whatever. For each individual person, everybody is different. For me personally, it's anger. It makes me angry immediately, and my first response is to lash out in anger. Once I have identified that I'm being triggered and I have stopped myself from uh lashing out in anger, because of course we have literally seconds to be able to do that, then I want to take a look at where this insecurity is coming from. Why is this particular thing that was said or situation causing insecurity for me? Most of the time it's because we don't know. We don't have the information to get through it. So the first time I had to pay taxes, for example, big insecurity, never done that before. Oh my gosh, where do I go? Where do I make sure I'm not being scammed? There's a million questions around that, right? I find the person that I can ask the right questions to, that person helped me, boom, it eliminates my insecurity. The thing with fear responses and insecurity is it makes you freeze. You don't do anything. And the issue is we have an issue and we need to fix it. And that requires doing something. So it's kind of one of those things where we are, in a way, self-sabotaging ourselves. And that comes from a different place altogether, right? Inner child healing is not a straight shot road, unfortunately. There's a lot of twists, there's a lot of turns, there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of stuff to go through. But this is a way for you to just identify where this particular trigger is coming from. It can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how long you want to delve in there. I delve in there really quickly sometimes. It just depends on the situation and whether or not I have time for it. And if I need to go more in depth later and I don't have time, I do try to make sure that I make time for it later so it doesn't come back up again. This is the step process that I use every single time I run into this problem, because the more you avoid it, the more problems you make for yourself. The more problems you make for yourself, the more confusing it gets. The more confusing it gets, the more you just mentally can't deal with it. And it can make you sick. Literally, it can make you sick. It can make you overly tired. It definitely lowers your success rate in terms of getting through things. So even the people that are really good at getting everything done go through this situation from time to time. And it really has to do with insecurities that were created around something completely non-connected to what you're going through right now, which is why it can be very difficult to identify that. So this week, really important for you guys when this comes up to be able to identify that this is an insecurity trigger and work through the process so that you can clear that and have a clear space, a clear channel to be able to deal with today's problem. And then you can deal with yesterday's problem later on, if that makes sense. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation through my coffee link. Would really appreciate that. I love the coffees. You guys are awesome. My website link is also there in the description. Check that out as well. Lots of options going on there. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys make it a great week. I apologize again for last week. Hopefully we can avoid that again in the future. Kitty tail. See you guys next week. Have a great one.